What else can we say about the Mets at this point? And well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watch2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. So, as I'm recording this, the Mets just got swept by the Toronto Blue Jays in 3 straight games at home. You just can't figure this freaking team out. You just can't. Nothing that they do makes sense. If we go back over the last month, let's think about this. They got swept in Detroit. They lost 2 of 3 to Colorado, who stinks. Lost 2 of 3 to a hideous Cincinnati team on the road. They lost, I believe, 3 out of 4 to Washington. What a joke that was. But then they come back. They beat Tampa Bay, the best team in baseball, 2 out of 3. Then they sweep Cleveland in 3 at home. Then they go on the road to Chicago, to the Cubs in Colorado, lose 4 out of 6, and pretty much 80% of the fan base is ready to jump off the George Washington Bridge. They want this guy fired, this guy cut, this guy traded. Completely irrational takes by pretty much every Mets fan at this point. But then they come home, they sweep Philadelphia in 3 games. The Mets own Philadelphia, continue to own Philadelphia, and then they got a 3-game series against Toronto before the off day on Monday, before they go to Atlanta and Pittsburgh on the road, and they proceed to get swept by the Toronto freaking Blue Jays, a team that had not won, I believe, 3 games in a row since, I think, mid-April. And the Mets, on their Hall of Fame weekend, absolutely spit the bit, completely letting their fans down, and they're back at the 500 mark. Now, what do we really say about this team? Where do we go? This team, to me, defies description. They are the epitome of being erratic. I'm not going to come out here and do what other Mets fans like to do on social media. Cut Lindor. You got to fire Buck. Get rid of him now. Epler sucks. We need to trade the whole starting rotation. I'm not going to do that here, because I want to try to be rational. What is this team? This team is still on the fringe of the playoffs. I have no doubt still that they're going to be in the playoff mix all the way to the end. Coming into the season, especially once Edwin Diaz got hurt, I never expected them to win this division. I never expected them to beat Atlanta in the division standings this year. But you know what? What does winning the division really get you? It gets you home field advantage, and we saw how much that did last year against San Diego. It did squat. And by the way, it didn't do much for a whole lot of the other teams in the Major League Baseball playoffs. Baseball is now where hockey has been for a while now. It doesn't really matter what your seed is, home field, home ice, home court, it's all it's really overrated at this point. The whole idea is to get in the tournament, be healthy, and get hot. Nothing more to it than that. Look at the Florida Panthers making the Stanley Cup final. The Miami Heat making the NBA finals. On and on and on we could go. The Philadelphia Phillies making the World Series last year. I don't think any teams are really scared of Philadelphia right now, the way they're playing. You got to remember, how a team is playing right now at the beginning of June is not how they're going to be playing in September necessarily. Am I frustrated with Francisco Lindor's batting average? Absolutely. But I am encouraged by the home runs and RBIs. If you love Lindor, you're going to find a reason to support him. If you hate Lindor, chances are you're jealous of his contract, and you'll find stats that will back your idea up. And completely understandable. But hey, what are you going to say about this game? This offense is just infuriating. It really continues to feel like as many players as they have who are potentially good players, Nimmo, McNeil, add Francisco Alvarez, add Brett Beatty. I love Jeff McNeil, but this offense comes down to 2 players and 2 players only, Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso. This offense will always go as those 2 players go. And Pete Alonso's been slumping. Yes, he hit a home run late, big deal. But you know what? For the last week and a half, he's been in an absolute slump, and the team's play has you've seen the results of it. They had amazing pitching against Philadelphia. That's why they won those games. It was not because of their offense. And Lindor's had a very mixed season, as I just said. But it really comes down to those two guys. You know, you could talk about Alvarez, Beatty, McNeil, Nimmo, even Starling Marte. And my God, when Marte is hitting, the Mets do look like a different offense. But to me, he has still not been the same player since early September when he got hurt. To me, that was the biggest reason that the Mets blew that division, because I felt Marte added another dimension of speed and defense that they just didn't have once he went out. But at this point, the Mets, you know, they're still going to be in the wild card hunt. I have no doubt that that's going to happen. But if you look at the upcoming schedule, it's scary. I mean, 3 in Atlanta, 3 in Pittsburgh, 2 at home against the Yankees. Then you got 3 at home against St. Louis, who's been terrible this year, maybe the most disappointing team in baseball this side of the San Diego Padres. But then you go on the road for 3 at Houston, and then 3 in Philadelphia. I'll be actually down there in Philadelphia for those games. My first time ever going to a Philadelphia sporting event. I'm guessing they don't let weapons in there, but I may need to protect myself. Oh my goodness. But the Mets are facing a very, very difficult part of their schedule right now. And it just frustrates the heck out of you if you're a Mets fan, because when they're hitting, they're not getting the pitching. When they're pitching, they're not getting the hitting. But if I had to describe what this Mets team is right now on June 4th, 2023 in one word, it would be this word: mediocre. This is a 500 team that has good pitching, that has good hitting, but never seems to get it at the same time. I'm not saying great, I'm saying it's good, but it's incredibly inconsistent. When it's on, it's good. When it's bad, it stinks. When it's bad, it is unwatchable baseball. I don't know what else to say really right now, except that, you know, I'm going to be somewhat positive here. I firmly believe the Mets will be in a playoff race all the way throughout the season. I expect them to get one of these wild card spots. Now, the goal has to be to get that first wild card spot, because then you can play the NL Central winner likely and avoid LA and Atlanta in the first round, because you do not want to see either of those teams if you can at all help it. So this team has to find its identity. The best Mets teams in my lifetime are the ones who never really dominate. You know, the Mets are not traditionally a team in decades past that just pulverizes a team 8-0. You know, they're not the Yankees, they're not the Dodgers, they're not the Red Sox, you know, in their best years. The best Mets teams are always scrappy, resilient, come up with late rallies, you know, get the big outs when they need to get them. They can steal the base when they need to, the hit and run that works. And that is the kind of baseball that I personally want to watch. I don't know if this team is going to be capable of it. But if it is going to be capable of it, Lindor and Alonso have to lead them there to take this team from mediocre, a fringe playoff contender, to a team that can legitimately contend for a championship. Because what I see right now, this is not a championship contender by any stretch. This is a team that could sneak into the playoffs, but I am not confident enough in trusting this team as it is to make a run through 3 or 4 teams to get to a World Series, let alone win it. So, yeah, I am just one frustrated Mets fan right now, but one who is not willing to write the verdict right now in early June, unlike some other people, to get rid of this guy, to get rid of that guy. But I want to know what your take is. You know, who do you believe in on this team? Who are you doubting right now? And what do you think of where this Mets team is right now? And realistically, not where they are right now, because, you know, 1 game, 2 games, it could change so much. This is a 162-game season, guys. What do you really see happening with this team for the rest of 2023? Leave me a comment. I'd love to read it. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.